I thought it was the one. Have you seen the one where it's like a guy with a fedora and he's talking into a mirror about how people make fun of guys who wear fedoras, but it's because they can't pull it off?
No, I haven't seen that, but I'm interested.
Similar situation.
I thought you were about to tell me about the guy with the fedora and the sword on the bus.
Oh, no.
Like, he was watching these people fight, and like this one guy was getting beat up pretty bad, so he broke out his katana.
Okay.
And then the fight stopped, and then they interviewed him as the hero.
He's not. He's so dangerous.
Well, you know, he stopped the fight with his samurai skills.
He's like real-life white knighting.
Yeah.
So
that's scary.
How do you
What's
guys
up, baby?
feel about this rain that we randomly got?
I woke up and let a dog outside, and my feet got wet.
It felt good.
That was my only understanding of rain.
It felt good to have it, is what I want to say.
Personally, I was really pleased because it made my drive home from work a lot better because everyone had been killed in the morning.
Yeah, because all that oil, that fresh oil, rising to the top.
They all drove off the freeway.
Traffic
was great.
Speaking of freeways, welcome to Wiki Wiki What? This is our podcast. We are a random knowledge program where you'll probably learn something whether you like it or not. My name is Dana.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jake, and over the course of this show, we each take a random Wikipedia article beginning with the same letter, learn a lot about it, keep the article secret from each other until the time of recording, and then come in and make some jokes. Make some jokes about it.
Joke it up.
Jokes.
Love a good joke, dude.
Goofing.
Oh, this tagline.
What?
Wikipedia can be... No, you remember, we're supposed to talk about how Wikipedia can be edited by everybody, so not all the information presented in the show is guaranteed to be accurate.
The disclaimer that we've never used.
I think we used it once.
I 100% make up half of what I'm talking about.
All right, Chris, why don't you tell everybody kind of what
all right,
we
so
do?
we're going alphabetically, like we said before. This is episode number, what are we on, 6?
This is 6, yeah.
Episode 6, lucky number 6. So that means the letter we are doing is F. So we're going to go ahead and preview kind of what our articles are about to each other and vote on who gets to go first. So I nominate Dana to go first.
You would, but I'm going to make Jake go first.
Jakey.
Okay. So the format I'm going to use for this episode is a little different from what I've done the last
list.
I don't know if I'm ready for this.
No, it's going to be good. It's going to be fun.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's a promise.
What I did is I kind of scoured Wikipedia a little bit more, jumped from article to article. I think before I've sort of been finding like supporting facts from secondary articles to back up the first one. Did not do that this time. So you're going to get more of a potpourri from me this time.
Okay.
But the first one is a town from my home state of Arkansas.
Oh, gross.
I know.
Wow.
Dana, what's yours?
Wait, you said the first one. Are you doing 2?
Well, the jumping off point.
Okay.
Is it Foxhole? I imagine that's a
original.
town in Arkansas.
The original concept. The original.
I believe you are thinking of possum grape.
Possum gravy. D, what's yours? Dana,
Okay,
what's your...
Okay. Mine is one of the stupidest threats to our national security.
Oh.
Okay. Mine is a man who was part of the Bullingdon Club, which is kind of like the Skull and Bones Society, but at Oxford.
And you are really into these secret societies.
I am so desperate to get in one.
You definitely want to be in one.
I do.
Do you want to go first?
I will. If that's Jakey, is that okay with you?
Yeah, let's.
You have our permission.
Let's get it on.
I appreciate it. So my article is on a man named Prince Felix Felixovich Yusop. Oh no, I messed it up already.
No.
Yusupov Count Sumarokov Elston.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Before you continue. Felix, and then his second name has something to do with Felix?
Felixovich. I think, and
Russian.
I was like looking at all of these Russian names, and I refused to do any research to find out, but I'm fairly certain that the second name in most of these Russian names is actually a like play on your father's name.
Okay.
So like Felixovich if you were a boy, and then it's like if you are a woman, it'd be like Felixovina.
Edna.
Yeah,
Right.
something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, but
they
his father's
just
name
thought
was
that they
Felix.
would elaborate on that.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I didn't want to research it at all. I just
It's
kind
fine.
of hoped for the best.
It's called
So
a
this
patronymic.
This man is he's just a treat. So he was a Russian aristocrat. He was born in when was he born? He was born in 1887 and lived until 1967. Which I don't know if you guys know anything about history, but there's a couple things that happened in that little
There's
chunk
just
of time.
a few things that happened in like 18 wars.
Yeah. So he was a young man. He was born and raised in St. Petersburg, which was the capital of the Russian Empire. His father was Count Felix Felixovich Sumarokov Elston.
That's such a good name.
Yes. And he was so that was his father. His grandfather was Felix Nikolaevich Sumarokov Elston.
Okay.
His Felix's, the main Felix I'm speaking of, his mother was Zenaida Yusupova. So she was actually from the Yusupov line, which was a line of they descended from the Crimean Tatars. Which, as far as I understand, she came from some sauces in Crimea.
Okay. Tell me
But they
about
were
it.
very wealthy. They kind of their wealth came from they had a bunch of factories and flour mills and oil fields in the Caspian Sea and coal and iron mines. So they were just like kind of almost the Firestones of like Russia.
Okay.
Felix, as a young man, and I love that these are things that are just openly written in this Wikipedia, and most of the sources were from his autobiographies. But Felix led a flamboyant life as a child. At 12, he began wearing his mother's gowns.
Oh.
Often
Didn't we
spending
all
time
know?
with gypsy bands and adopting female clothing. So he was like an early androgynist.
Excellent.
Yeah. I don't have any facts in front of me, but I imagine the Dutch Girl, the movie, is loosely based off his life. Felix had an older brother who would take him to restaurants and cafes, and Felix soon after became one of the richest men after his brother ended up dying.
Okay.
His and I forget how his brother died. I think it was during World War I, which makes sense. But Felix was kind of a freewheeling, fancy-free young man, and he. Here it is.
I just have to say, I'm really proud of you for using F adjectives just now.
Freewheeling, fancy-free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Fancy
really,
feast
like,
also.
Triple word.
That's
score.
what I had for dinner. I just found the thing about how his brother died. His brother Nikolai Felixovich Count Sumarokov Elston, having had an affair with a married woman, was later killed on Kretsovsky Island in a duel by the jealous husband.
Uh-oh.
So apparently that's how they lived their life. Felix went on to go to study fine arts at Oxford, where he was a member of the Bullingdon Club, which is, like I said, was like the Skull and Bones Society. But so just for like a contemporary understanding of people who were also in this club, David Cameron, former prime minister.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a member of the Bullingdon Club.
Dude, he's out now. Like, he was like, I'm out.
Oh, he said, peace out, y'all. Y'all want out? I want out.
He quit as prime minister, and then he quit as a as a minister of
He
parliament. He's gone.
He prime minister exit. Was that a good joke?
No.
No.
Okay. Also, George Osborne, the former mayor of London, and get this one, that red-faced buffoon Boris Johnson.
Oh my God!
Also
Boris Johnson.
member of the Bowlington Club, which apparently, they took all sides of the aisle into this club.
Sure.
But the club, it has this history where it's 200 years old. They have a bunch of kind of nonsense that went with it. Their reputation was everyone was really wealthy, and they had these boisterous banquets and rituals where they would vandalize like wherever they were staying. And everyone had to be pretty wealthy because they were known for they would like people who were letting them throw a party at their establishment were okay with them breaking things because they always paid for all the damages on the spot.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's like all these ridiculous things. It started as
welcome to the party. Feel free to break whatever you want. Just to leave a check on your way out.
It's so like currently it's just more of a dining club and a party situation, but it used to be more of a sports club where they would play cricket and polo. But that's that's all I'll say on the Bowlington Club. So he was a student at Oxford, and he actually founded the Oxford University Russian Society.
Okay.
When he was a student and he was living in England on King Edward Street, which has a link I didn't click because I don't care about learning about the history of the street. But while he was there, he had I see. I'm good at fighting the rabbit hole.
Right.
He had a Russian cook, a French driver, an English valet, a housekeeper. He spent much of his time partying. He owned 3 horses, a macaw, and a bulldog named Punch.
Oh my God! What a menagerie!
He was playing polo. He was smoking hash, and he made a bunch of friends in like kind of the art scene. So he was friends with this Italian piano player. He also was friends with this guy Jacques de Bestouy.
That's probably how it sounds.
But both of these gentlemen moved in with him. And then during his time, he was also acquainted with Albert Stepford, who was a British antiquities dealer who specialized in Fabergé eggs and Cartier items.
Yep.
So that's the kind of company he was keeping. And also a man named Oswald Rayner, who was a member of the British SIS. Security Intelligence Services.
Sure, yeah.
So he had some interesting characters he was running with. He later so he would also hang out with the ballerina Anna Pavlova, who was the like prima ballerina for the Imperial Russian Ballet.
Right.
So that's kind of his like younger
she
years
was like
coming to age.
She was like the ballerina.
She is. She's the ballerina who changed the style. Before the like kind of ideal ballerina was more of a gymnast, like a shorter, stockier, like muscled person, and she actually had a lot of trouble because she couldn't get trained or anything because she was really long and lanky.
Right.
But so yeah, she changed a lot of things. He later married Princess Irina of Russia, who was the Tsar's only niece. She was Tsar Nicholas II's only niece.
Cool.
So they married, and they went on a honeymoon that took them to Cairo, Jerusalem, London, and they ended in a place called Bad Kissingen, which I did click this link because I said, that's got to be made up. But it's not. It's a place in Bavaria, and it's like a spa town. So
nice.
His parents were actually staying there at the time, and that was when he was there for his honeymoon. This is also the exact time when World War I broke out. So he was actually in like the German Empire when World War I breaks out, and when they went to leave to go home, they were actually detained in Berlin.
Oh,
and
boy.
So,
worst
Irina,
vacation ever, right?
Exactly. Irina, his new wife, was a relative to the Crown Princess Cecile of Prussia, and she asked her to intervene because Cecile's father-in-law was Kaiser Wilhelm II. What happened was the Kaiser said, nah, dog, you guys are going to stay. Mm-hmm. But he offered them the choice of 3 country estates to live in for the duration of the war.
Not bad.
So it's kind of nice
bad.
being on that level.
Yeah.
later, Felix's father actually appealed to the Spanish ambassador who was in Germany, and he got permission for them to return to Russia, but they had to go through the neutral Denmark, and then through Finland, and then from there they could go to St. Petersburg.
That's a roundabout way to do it, but, that's the way you got to do
it. They got it done. So World War I happens, and, after Felix's brother died, he kind of became the heir to this huge fortune, and had a couple of problems where he was really bad at taking care of his money, and he was very wanted to be philanthropic. Like, he was an art student, so he just was wasn't good at the maths. So he did a lot of spent a lot of his time.
I knew a lot of those kinds of people going through college.
So he devoted a lot of money to charitable works to help the poor, but he actually did some good things and was helping people. Actually, he converted a wing of their palace that they lived in into a hospital for wounded soldiers.
That's nice.
Because he was kind of taken aback by the fact that in 1 year, 1.5 million Russian soldiers had died.
Right.
So Felix was he never served in the military himself by taking advantage of a law that made it so that if you were an only son, you didn't have to serve. And his brother had conveniently died in a duel, so he did not have to serve. Arena...
Lucky guy.
Yeah, I know, right? It brought him up in the line to get all this money, and he didn't have to serve in a war.
Duels are really convenient.
Arena's first cousin was this lady named, she was the Grand Duchess Olga, and she was very open about her distaste for the fact that he wouldn't fight. And there's a quote from her saying, "Felix is a downright civilian, dressed all in brown, walked to and fro about the room, searching in some bookcases with magazines and virtually doing nothing. An utterly
hate it when people walk
unpleasant
to and fro.
impression he makes. A man idling in such times." So she actually wrote that to Olga's father, who was Tsar Nicholas II. So Felix was getting badmouthed to, the president. So that's kind of what happened. But kind of the reason that I decided to choose Felix was because I read a little article that it's the bizarre true story behind the "this is a work of fiction" disclaimer on movies. And the reason that Felix is kind of responsible for that is he was actually the person who put together the plan to murder Rasputin.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so he got together a bunch of guys. He said he wouldn't suffer Rasputin's kind of watering down of Russian, the Russian magistry. Like, he said, he's trying to take away from us what makes us Russian. And so he got a bunch of guys to get together to basically set up an assassination attempt. But the fun thing is, when you click through links about Rasputin, you find out that there's a lot of misinformation, because the way that they set up this plan was they said Felix actually started seeing Rasputin for mild maladies, saying he needed healing to build a trust. And then he eventually said, "Hey, my wife is going to come into town. We're throwing her a welcome home party. You should come." And Rasputin was like, "All right, we're friends now." So on the night of December 29th, in 1916, Yusupov, or Felix, the Grand Duke Dmitri, Vladimir, oh boy, I'm going to butcher this one. Vladimir Perishkovitz,
that
his
sounds
assistant,
right.
Stalinus de Lazavert, and somebody just named Sukhotin. They murdered Rasputin inside of the palace that they lived in.
Oh my God.
The Moika Palace, which was being refurbished, and the room they did it in was supposed to be a cellar room that Felix had been having built that was specifically soundproof, because they actually were throwing a party at the time. So there were other people in the house.
Right.
And they just basically, the idea was they got Rasputin completely blasted on. He started drinking sweet wines. This is not the first assassination attempt on Rasputin. He used to like vodka. After one of this assassination attempts where he was stabbed in the stomach, Rasputin's daughter talks about how then he started liking sweet wines. So that's all he would drink. So they had a lot of sweet wines, really heavy wines. They got him drunk. They brought him downstairs, and then at this point, they shot him. And this is where like a lot of the accounts of exactly how everything happened differ wildly. And as far as like all the records are actually gone because once the Soviet Union took over, they eliminated a lot of these records. So a lot of it is just in autobiographies by people who were around at the time. There's actually some accounts from Rasputin's daughter, which I don't understand why, because she wasn't there. But whatever. So they
it didn't matter back then, man. It did not matter. You could just say anything.
Exactly. This is the wonderful time.
Yeah.
So they shot Rasputin, and the shot, it went through his chest, and it penetrated his stomach and his liver, and left his body on the right side. And then then there's for some reason this detail. Then Rasputin fell onto a white bearskin. Sure. And then I guess what they did was they were just like, that ought to have done it, and they like walked away for a while because I think they wanted to go like back to the party. So then later on...
Well, it looks like we're done here. Let's go grab another pint.
Yeah, they're like, we shot him once. That's good. So then what happened, though, is the shot didn't kill Rasputin. And some of this is according to Rasputin's daughter, that Rasputin... This is also ridiculous because the quote is, Rasputin opened his eyes and became aware of his predicament. For sure you didn't know that, little girl. But anyways,
hey, I'm shot. This sucks.
These guys don't like me.
Yeah.
So he struggles up the stairs, and he's on the first landing, and he finds an unlocked door to the courtyard. So while he's doing all this, apparently he made enough noise that some of these guys, particularly Perishkovitz, went downstairs and said, "Hey, guy, you're supposed to be dead." And so he fires at Rasputin 4 times.
Nice.
He missed 3 times.
Oh my! So the dude was already severely injured,
crawling away, and this guy couldn't shoot him. So he misses 3 times, and then he gets him with one of the bullets, and that bullet penetrated Rasputin's right kidney and got lodged in his spine. So Rasputin never reached the gate, but he just falls into the snow.
Yikes!
Both shots medically should have been fatal. So Rasputin would have died within 10 to 20 minutes, but apparently this is from somebody else's perspective. But then all of a sudden the body made a sudden movement, and so one of them placed the revolver on his forehead and pulled the trigger.
Oh my God!
Then they took the body and they carried it back inside. Yusupov or Felix was really kind of put off by this and wanted to make sure he was dead.
This guy is like the Black Knight from Monty Python.
Yeah. But hear this out. So Felix just saw this man shot 3 times, once in the head, and he was like, I don't know if that killed him. And he takes his shoe off and just starts beating down Rasputin's right eyeball. So the plan at this point was to take Rasputin's possessions, take them to, I forget whose house, I think Pavlovich's house, Dmitry Pavlovich. They're going to take it to his house and burn Rasputin's coat and galoshes because what they wanted was the people who were still at the party, who presumably could look out a window and see that they're shooting Rasputin and beating him with shoes.
There's a murder happening, right?
But what they did was they had one of their friends dress up in Rasputin's coat and like make a big show of like, all right, I'm Rasputin, I'm leaving now.
There's no way.
This is some of these claims. And so then they go to leave. They get to the guy's house and like they're like, hey, we need to burn these things. And the guy's wife is like, you're not burning that rubber in my fireplace.
Don't you dare.
And so they were like, man. And so they went back to the house. But on the way, they tried to throw the galoshes over a bridge.
Oh my God.
One of the galoshes got stuck and was later found by a policeman who was drawn because of the rapid-fire shots that have been kind of ringing out from this party.
So you know what's the funniest about this is that Rasputin's murder was just like super inconvenient to everybody.
It was just a bizarre situation of these guys just did such a bad job that they let Rasputin have this wonderful mystical, like, oh, he'll never die kind of thing. Like, he has dark powers, but it's just because these guys were big dumb assholes.
They're really bad at killing. Go ahead.
Like you mentioned, this was not the first time that people had tried to assassinate Rasputin.
Yeah.
Like, people tried to poison him a whole bunch, and he was just immune to poisons and stuff.
I think it was a lot of that people just. I think a lot of people were using poisons that burnt off in a fire, like cooking with alcohols. They were like, "Why am I not drunk off of this cake?" They just don't understand science. But anyway, so that all happens. They take Rasputin's body, they throw it in a river. It's later found. Then they chop off his dingus and they put it in a jar for some reason. Don't know why.
It was huge.
Yeah,
God. Rasputin
got that big dick. Anyways, but this let me get back to what happened. So Felix was actually, after the revolution was done and everything was said and done, Tsar Nicholas was abdicated the throne, and following his abdication, they the punishments started rolling in for people who were doing horrible things. So Felix actually was exiled, and so his family was exiled. They went far away. They kind of had all these Rembrandt paintings and these earrings that belonged to Marie Antoinette that they took back, they sold, and that's what they lived off of for a while. But while they were in exile, MGM Grand made a movie called Rasputin and the Empress, and Felix and Irina, because they said things specifically about them, sued MGM Grand through the English court system, and they got a settlement of £25,000 in damages, which was just a huge amount of money at the time.
For sure.
And that accounts for the reason why at the beginning of most modern films, there's a disclaimer that says this is a work of fiction. Any similarity to actual persons living or dead and the actual events is purely coincidental.
That's incredible.
How Felix Yusupov was responsible for that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. That's what the deeper I went in this, I was like, this is straight up bananas and more non-believable than Game of Thrones.
Absolutely. That was a roller coaster.
It sure was.
Thank you.
All right. I turn over the floor.
All right.
Okay, what's next?
Oh, okay. Give me your teasers again. You were
mine was one of the stupidest threats to our national security.
Stupidest threats, and then...
And with me, you're going to get the melange.
Oh.
You know?
I think I want to hear Jakey Big Boy next.
All right.
Let's hear it. Let's hear about Foxhole, Arkansas.
Yeah, kick it off. Foxhole, Arkansas.
Let's go.
I'm actually going to go with 56, Arkansas.
There's no way.
Excuse me?
It's a town called 56.
That's a number.
Spelled out or the number?
It is spelled out FIFTY-SIX.
All right.
So,
how close was this to your hometown of Cave City, which is an equally stupid name?
Excuse me, that's where you grew up?
Yeah, Cave City. We had a cave.
You grew up in a Star Wars themed town, like Cloud City?
Yeah, I did.
Get out of here.
We had a cave.
It's real.
And
I've been there.
Population 1,900.
Nice.
All right,
56.
So 56.
Go for it.
It's in Stone County. Has a population of 173 people.
56 people. Yep.
And there's a disambiguation on the 56 page. It says not to be confused with 56 Arkansas.
Excuse me?
Why would I ever confuse anything with 56 Arkansas?
Well, so it's 56 with a hyphen between 50 and 6, which is not to be confused with 56 with no hyphen.
That's reasonable.
Which is an unincorporated community in Craighead County. So there are actually two areas in Arkansas called 56.
You gotta be kidding me.
That are
the same state?
Yeah, they're 108 miles apart.
Jesus.
So when the original town was being founded in 1918, locals were like, let's call it Newcomb. And the request was rejected by the state, and the federal government named the community for its school district number, which was 56. So they were like, all right. So
they could have at least held a contest or something like, hey, name our city something that's not stupid.
No,
Harambe face.
You're 56. Man, I really wanted that to be real, but I think it's fake.
It's got to be fake.
Anyway, that's literally all the information I have about 56. But it was the reason I brought it up was because it said it's frequently been noted on lists of unusual place names, and that was the link that I jumped into for a fair amount of my document.
Was it when you saw the word list, you got real excited?
Yeah.
I got
started licking those chops.
All right, so you go to the unusual place names article, and it says the unusual place names are names for cities, towns, or other regions which are considered non-ordinary in some manner, and this can include place names which are also swear words, inadvertently humorous or highly charged words, such as place names of unorthodox spelling, pronunciation, or especially short or long names.
Oh, my God.
So, like, there are towns in Scandinavia that are, like, literally one letter. It's like A or Y or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's that really, really long town name in Wales.
In Wales, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lake, and it's like 58 characters or something.
It's ridiculous.
And I was going to try to pronounce it, but then I didn't.
That's my thing. Don't tread on my territory.
Right. That's you. I should have had you do this article. Okay. So some of the unusual place names they bring up, some were kind of mundane. They're like, oh, there's a town in Oregon called Boring, and it's named after a guy whose last name is Boring. And apparently the city slogan for Boring, Oregon is the most interesting place to live. Or
Oh, my
stupid
God.
Like that. So
That's really cute, actually.
It's cute.
I want that T-shirt.
They also bring up stuff like there's this place called in Herefordshire in England where there are two towns pretty near each other. There's the village of Ugly and the hamlet of Nasty, which was pretty good. Oh. So there's a town in France named Condom, right? And
nice.
In French, that doesn't mean anything, but English speakers think it's funny.
It's so funny.
The same with Hell in Norway, and there's that.
Everything
there's
in Norway is
Michigan.
starts with hell, like Helgensen and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it means like by a cliff or something like that. So there's this town in Austria called Fucking. And
hey.
So the sign gets stolen all the time. And it's a really small village, and the only crimes ever reported in fucking Austria are that people keep stealing the signs. So in 2004, the mayor put it up for a vote to change the village's name so they'd stop losing so much money on replacing the sign.
They'd stop with the vandalism.
Right. So the town goes, no, we're not changing the name. We've had the name for 800 years.
Yeah, you gotta be proud of it.
And the mayor goes on and he gets quoted and he says, everyone here knows what it means in English, but for us, fucking is fucking, and it's going to stay fucking.
What? Why don't they just carve it into a big rock?
Great point, Christopher. So in 2010, there's a town called Shitterton. It's in Dorset, and
wait, Dorset? That must be in England then.
It's in England, right?
Yeah.
So
Shitterton.
It's called Shitterton.
Are you sure that's how it's pronounced, though?
It's called Shitterton.
Okay,
and it comes from the ancient name means farmstead on the stream used as an open sewer.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
So there's this quote from the mayor that says, every 2 or 3 years, somebody comes along and nicks our sign because clearly Shitterton is amusing. And we like to think it was kids who'd have it stuck on the wall in a den somewhere. I don't think it was malicious. They just did it for fun, but it was exasperating for us. We get a nice, shiny new sign from the council, and 5 minutes later it was gone. So it's a pretty small town, and it's costing them like £300 to replace it every time, right? So in 2010... the town all pitched in, and they got a 1.5-ton block of stone, and they had the word Shitterton engraved in this giant stone and had it hauled in with a crane. And then the mayor comes back and says, let's put it in 1.5 tons of stone and see him try to take that away in the back of a Ford Fiesta.
I like the specific reference to a Ford Fiesta, and also in my head, I'm picturing this stone to be like a perfect rectangle, and it's carved in the same font that Pez is carved, and so it just looks like a giant Pez that says Shitterton. That's what's happening in my brain.
Anyway, so
guys, should I be a mayor?
Maybe.
Yeah, could you? Could you
I came
please?
up with the best idea.
So a little throwback to last episode. One of the weirdly named towns. There's this town in 1999, Halfway, Oregon.
Nice.
Changed its name to half.com.
No.
Which was one of the places that was acquired by eBay in 2001.
There you go.
Because the e-commerce company of the same name said, if you change your name for 1 year to half.com, we'll give you $110,000 and 20 computers for your school and stuff. So this was like a really small town.
They actually agreed to this.
Yeah, well, they were a really small town, and they were like financial trouble, and there was no way they were going to be able to like help their school and stuff. So they just changed the name to half.com instead of Halfway, Oregon.
Do that like federally?
Well, it happened.
That's unbelievable.
I imagine Oregon has very loose state naming laws.
Unbelievable.
And there it is.
But something they would do, maybe.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I was rabbit holing this time. Like I told you, you're going to get the melange. So at the top of this unusual place names article, there was a link to swear words. So I clicked it, and it redirects to the article called Profanity. So now I have a list of 50 swear words I'm going to read off.
I'm so excited about this.
I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. But in the See Also section on the profanity page, there is a link to the obscenity page. And I was like, man, what is the difference between profanity and obscenity, right? Who knows? I found out. I Googled it. So there's actually 3 classifications of inappropriate words: obscenity, profanity, and vulgarity.
What the hell was your original topic?
56 Arkansas.
Okay. Jesus.
Right?
Wow.
So, anyway, there's 3 classifications of inappropriate words: obscenity, profanity, and vulgarity. And the difference is what you're saying. So if you're saying obscenity, you're referencing, like, body parts. So you're saying, like, shit and dick and stuff like that, right?
Shit is not a body part, sir.
Well, or bodily functions.
Okay.
It's refuse.
Right. So profanity are your curse words that are, like, specifically, like, against religion.
Nice.
And then vulgarity is kind of like your more, like, middle-of-the-road standard curse words.
Yeah.
Right? From here, I found a page called expurgation, which is a form of
Excuse me?
censorship. It's called expurgation.
Oh, purge.
It's a form of censorship which involves purging anything that the author deems noxious or offensive. So examples of this are
Did you say noxious or obnoxious?
Noxious.
So like poisonous.
Right. So remember when I was talking about
Okay.
Ray Comfort and how he did that Origin of Species where he like cut out all the stuff that talked about evolution?
Oh yeah.
That's
he randomly did
expurgation.
it, though.
Yeah, it was real random, but it just happened to expurgate.
The strongest, yeah.
So this practice was first popularized in Thomas Bowdler's 1818 edition of William Shakespeare's plays. So he was like editing these to release them, and he cut out like all of the like fighting and profanity and like sex to make the plays more suitable for women and children.
Because they're delicate sensibilities.
They're delicate sensibilities, and they can't really know what happens out in
Yeah.
the world of the plays.
Right.
This is also known as creating fig leaf versions of the text.
Censored versions is basically what
Right.
you're saying. Yep.
But it also kind of reminded me of that Ken M. vulgarity is the fool's fig leaf. And I thought that he was a lot more clever now that I've read this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going through, I'm reading about Bowdlerization and all this other stuff. And in the process, I come across something called the Scunthorpe problem. So the Scunthorpe problem is...
Chris had one of those last week.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, then you guys are already on the page.
Yeah.
It's the blocking of emails, forum posts, or search results by automated spam filters because the words searched or submitted contain a string of letters that are shared with an obscene word blocked by that program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the problem originated in 1996 when residents of Scunthorpe, Lincolnshire, England were unable to create AOL accounts because the town's name contains a banned substring. And when Google started coming online with their accounts, people from Scunthorpe had the same problem. So I looked into a little more about this. Similarly, residents from Penistone, Lightwater, and Clitheroe have had similar inconveniences when trying to create accounts.
But why
God.
Clitheroe, guys?
Yeah.
But like, why Clitheroe?
Can you point out
Yeah,
Clitheroe on a map for me?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the bad part of Clitheroe?
I think it's a myth.
Is it? That one is a legend.
It's one of those
These
things
are really,
that people
these
put
are
on the
really
map
bad
to.
jokes, guys. These
yeah.
are really bad.
We're good. So, over time, this has popped up occasionally, blocking creation of domain names and email addresses for things like shitakemushrooms.com. There was a guy named Dr. Herman Libschitz who couldn't create an email address with his own name with Verizon.
Right.
And there's a CEO of this company called Vocalize named Matthew Koch who had both his Google Plus and Facebook profiles suspended for his last name. So all of these blocks are eventually lifted, etc. But
can I just say something real quick? There's a guy who does karaoke in Long Beach with me a lot, and his name is Dick Ball. And it's his real name. No, he always he's happy for people to say that's not real, and then he just pulls out his ID because his name is certainly Richard Ball, and so he just signs up as Dick Ball, and it's just a delight every time.
That's
you hear
incredible.
it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I love it. So, similar problems in the months leading up to Super Bowl 30. Many web searches were filtered due to the Roman numerals that are used when you're doing that.
Yeah.
And there are certain filter problems that happen with emails. Like if you're subscribing to socialism or socialist stuff or specialist stuff, a lot of those emails will go right to your spam filter because it contains the substring Cialis, which is a pill for erectile dysfunction. So it
Oh
goes,
my God,
straight
I
in your
didn't
trash.
know.
Yeah.
That's
if
awesome.
you are applying for something and you say you're a specialist, your resume just goes right in the garbage.
Oh, right in the trash. Please check your spam filter. I am applying for this position, and I really, really want it. I have to feed my children, please.
Please change the name of
Please.
your position.
Yeah, please change the name of your position so that I can feed my family.
Please change it to Cialis Specialist.
Right, please.
It cancels it. It cancels it out if there's two.
It's a double negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some websites modify the content that you post to their forums, where they will do word replacement for inappropriate strings with automatic obscenity filters. So, for example, in 2008, a news site run by the American Family Association filtered an Associated Press article on the sprinter whose name was Tyson Gay.
Okay.
But they replaced instances where it said gay with the word homosexual, so it rendered his name Tyson homosexual.
Oh, my goodness.
And in another article published in the same month, they altered the name of a basketball player named Rudy Gay to Rudy homosexual.
Oh, my gosh.
So, and there are also a lot of websites out there with rudimentary obscenity filters that replace the word ass with butt, resulting in clabutic for classic and butt-buttonate for assassinate. That's it. That's all I had on this.
Nice.
That was a lovely journey.
That was all over the place, though.
Yeah. Well, you see, I told you it was either unorthodox or very orthodox.
It
depending on
definitely
how you look at it.
proved
because
the
this is how we
rabbit
did the
hole.
pilot, right?
Yeah.
This is how we did the pilot.
Yes.
For sure.
So, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the trip.
I loved it.
All right. So is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
It's my
Dana.
turn.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so my hint was one of the stupidest threats to our national security.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody wanted to have one, and after a while, no one wanted to have one. I am doing my topic.
Wait, can I guess?
No.
But I know what it is.
You can tell me if you were right. I
think I know what it is, too.
I'm doing it on Furby.
I knew
Yep.
it.
Yep.
I just watched the Stranger Things kids see a Furby and be very confused.
Yeah, so Furby was an American robotic toy that was first released in 1998 by Tiger Electronics. It had these little ears.
I was going to do that too, dude.
Yeah.
We're really dating ourselves.
So it had these little ears, and it had this like awful beak, and it moved its eyelids. So the article that I was reading said that it resembled a hamster or owl-like creature, but I don't know. I think the term demon is a little more appropriate. It was the must-have toy of the 1998 holiday season, but it actually remained popular like well into the year 2000.
Oh, boy.
Was this after Tickle Me Elmo?
This was after Tickle Me
I think
Elmo.
this was post, yeah.
No, Tickle Me Elmo was 96.
Yeah, this was that craze of parents murdering each other in store lines.
Yes. So during the first 3 years of its production, over 40 million Furbies were sold.
That's not possible.
So 1.8 happened in 1998, 1.8 million. So that was when the stock was pretty low, right? And then 14 million in 1999.
Bump up.
And at one point during a rolling 12-month period, a total of 27 million Furbies were sold.
No.
What?
Yep. So its terrifying speaking capabilities were localized in 24 different languages.
Oh my God. Do you have that list? Do you have a list of languages?
I don't have a list of languages.
I would have had it.
So the thing that makes Furby so frightening to me was it was the very first successful attempt to produce and sell what was called a domestically aimed robot. And
no.
Yeah,
Don't
so
ever label it that.
This genre of robot it contains things like the Roomba, like things that just like hang out in your house and do shit.
Yeah.
So a brand new Furby it starts out speaking entirely in Furbish, which is the unique language that all Furbies use, but it's programmed to start using English words and phrases in place of Furbish over time.
Okay.
The process was intended to kind of resemble the process of learning English, I guess.
You know how children are born with that countdown timer to when they just start speaking English.
Right, exactly. So Furby was developed by two dudes named Dave Hampton and Caleb Chung. It took them about 9 months to design the toy, and then it took them about another 9 months to build the prototype.
I didn't realize it was a Hampton Chung joint.
After they failed after a few licensing attempts, but they brought it to the Tiger Electronics to Tiger Electronics, and they were like, "Yeah, that sounds cool. Let's take it to the American International Toy Fair in '98." And it got super popular, and they were like, "Let's launch this thing." They originally sold for the price point of $35, but they were gone immediately.
Yeah.
People were just insane for this thing.
Get on that resale market, baby.
Eventually, people were reselling them on eBay for upwards of $300, like right off the.
Jeez.
Jake, actually, when you were researching eBay, did you see anything about like absurd Furby auction listings or anything like that?
Nah. I mean,
Okay,
absolutely, totally. Let's pretend.
Do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you the highest Furby auction today?
More than anything.
I'm gonna go with $10,000.
Go ahead and guess how much a Furby is, like an original 1998 Furby is today.
I'm gonna go today? Ooh.
$10.
At least $15,000.
No, a little lower than that. The highest, the highest one I could find actually was $900, but still an unnecessary amount of money for this kind of thing.
Somebody's gonna make so much money off of me when they sell me this Furby.
So to make so people were listing their Furbies, and to make their auctions more exciting, they were giving names to their auctions to correlate with the coloring. So they were like, "This is a wedding Furby. This is a tuxedo Furby. This is a snowball Furby. This is a biker Furby." Like,
nice. Leather
there
daddy
wasn't
Furby. That
there
seems
was
like something that would have been
nothing-
set by the company, right? Like,
I don't know.
I
There
don't
wasn't
know.
there wasn't anything inherently rare about these Furbies at all, but just because they were so goddamn hard to find, they were totally capitalizing on it. So there were tons of scams. Some of them totaled over $1,000, and there were like a bunch of fist fights, right, that happened between parents at retail stores. This was the second coming of Tickle Me Elmo, but like way worse. So I was actually looking for like local periodicals about like Furby scuffles, and
Nice.
I found one from Allentown, Pennsylvania in 1998, like when it was first launching. And so trouble started brewing basically when this line of people who had been there since 4:30 in the morning started arguing with another line that had like shown up like 5 minutes before opening. And they're like, no, we're the line. And no, we're the line. And so they're going nuts.
I love
And-
that a second line traveled together.
Yeah. It was like us versus them.
Yeah.
This woman that they interviewed named Dee Unangst, she said of the event, as they opened the door, it was like a rock concert and everyone pushed to the stage. This lady, oh my God, she tried to protect herself by raising her arms, but the crowd was pushing so hard against her that she ended up smashing her hand against another woman's throat. And like this man
Killed her.
behind her, like punched her clean in the back of the head. Just like, I have no idea if it was by accident, but he had a closed fist. She was being carried by this tide of people for like 20 feet. And she said, quote, I couldn't stop. It was awful.
Oh, it sounds awful. Did any people
I like
die
that
here?
it sounds like this woman was possessed because she was like, yeah, and then the crowd, all of a sudden my hands were around her throat, and then I couldn't stop moving.
So
like, bitch, you're a murderer.
this particular store had 94 Furbies to sell.
That's it.
How many
94.
people were there?
I couldn't tell you,
Thousands.
but probably more than 94. So the main reason the Furbies were so freaking popular was because of their apparent intelligence, or their language skills. So essentially Furbies can talk to each other using this infrared port that's like located right in the middle of their cold, dead eyes.
That little black butterfly right between
Yeah,
your eyes.
so like I mentioned earlier, they start off speaking in tongues. Sorry, Furbish, which is a language that's comprised of these
That's
short,
a good joke.
these short words and simple syllables and various other sounds. And over time, they'll speak fewer Furbish words and learn more, and speak more English words. So there's actually a common misconception that they repeated words that were said around them, and it's likely that this incorrect belief stemmed from the fact that it's possible to have the Furby say pre-programmed words more often by petting it whenever it said them. So it's like sort of a positive reinforcement kind of thing. So if the Furby is like butts and you like pet him on the head, he'll say butts more often.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Yeah. So as a result of this myth, I'm really unhappy to learn that this happened. Several intelligence agencies, including our own NSA, were like, "Nah, can't bring those into the office." I shit you not, this happened. Blanket ban on Furbies in intelligence agencies.
Makes sense to me, dude.
Oh, that's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
It's like
Well, you
zero
don't want it,
effort
like-
put into the thought of this ban.
Hanging out, learning the nuclear missile codes and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys know this, and I certainly didn't. Furby's actually been re-released like a dozen times since it first came out.
I'm looking at so many images of Furbies
But
right
the
now.
original versions are super popular with hackers, as they can be dissected and made to do interesting things, in quotation marks is what the article said.
Oh.
Interesting things. So their advanced audio capabilities and various sensory interfaces basically made them really popular with the circuit bending community. And I fell into this pretty much immediately.
Wait, did you click a
Circuit
circuit
bending
bender?
is... Yeah, it's basically the creative chance-based act of customizing the circuits within electronic devices to produce musical or visual instruments and sound generators. So,
What?
against against my better judgment, I decided to investigate YouTube for circuit bent Furbies. And I really wish that I hadn't, because I'm going to have trouble sleeping for a really long time. I figured I'd subject you guys and our listeners with one of the more horrific videos. And I'm sorry that you guys at home aren't going to be able to see it, but trust me when I say you'll thank me. I'll go ahead and describe what's going on, sort of set the scene before we hit play here. Essentially, what I'm looking at is 8 Furbies that have all had like their fur and meat ripped off, and they're assembled in 2 rows of 4 inside this open rectangular container with a set of shelves. And the container is wired to this big mixer. And on the side, I swear to God, is like the circular hand crank. And something about it resembling a giant like Jack-in-the-Box toy just makes it worse. And throughout the video, the disembodied arm of the device operator just pops in and starts like fiddling with the knobs and dials and sliders, and he's like rotating the crank to create these like horrific noises. And all the while, these Furby cadavers are just like moving their lips and their eyes while the machine plays these sounds.
I'm into it.
I can't go through my life being the only one who's like heard this. So of course, if I'm going to be cursed, I'm taking as many people as possible with me. And I've got it right here.
Let's go.
So I'm just going to go ahead and go for it right now if you guys are ready.
All right, dude, send me to hell.
I am.
Let me get it loaded up here.
Furbies. What's happening?
So he's rotating the crank right now. Yeah.
Oh no.
So he's reversed the crank now. He's doing some stuff with the knobs right now, and the Furby's eyelids are just like popping off.
Oh. Oh, no.
This is the worst part, because it sounds somewhat like human voices. Like some guy going,
Oh, the woman's talking now.
So
this is the part where you go into the stuff about Five Nights at Freddy's, right?
That's what I was just going to say. That's what they look like.
I think that might be the most harrowing thing I've ever witnessed. And I'm sweating, and I'm like a little bit nervous.
Right.
It's a good sweat, though.
I don't like it.
It's a good sweat.
So I'm going to try and move on from that, and I kind of wanted to throw in one of our favorite segments, the list.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go.
Yay! List.
All right.
List.
So the folks behind Furby came out with way too many tertiary products, and I'll go ahead and list them. So Furby Babies, smaller version of the original line. Furby Friends, novel Furbies that resembled pop culture characters like Gizmo from Gremlins, Yoda from Star Wars, and E.T. from the titular E.T.
The titular
E.T., the extraterrestrial, and his adventures on Earth.
Yeah, Emototronic Furbies, a larger version released in 2005 that had, quote, more emotional faces. Please, God, no.
That's the one complaint I had about Furby, was that it wasn't able to express its disgust with me more.
Emototronic Furby Babies, self-explanatory. Emototronic Funk Furbies, same as the one I just listed, but they can dance. The 2012 version actually had more expressive LCD eyes and a wider range of emotions, and its own iPhone app.
Oh no.
Furby Party Rockers, smaller versions of the 2012 re-release that basically don't do any learning but have like a preset personality right out of the box. Furby Boom, another re-release of the original in 2013. Furblings, tiny toy versions that communicated with Furby Boom. The Furby Boom Crystal, another re-release of the 2013 version in neon colors. And Furby Boom Crystal Furblings.
Oh, God.
Self-explanatory.
They figured out their system of releases, though. They were like, release something, make babies for it, then reskin it, then release babies.
And then at the end, they were like, okay, Furbaka, which is a Furby that resembles
Nice.
Chewbacca.
Now, can that one talk, or can it only make like Wookiee screams?
Did you guys were you interested in learning some Furbish tonight?
100%.
Okay, so tell me a joke is we taka lulu.
We talk a Lulu.
Yeah. Tell me a
Makes
story.
sense.
Tell me a story is we taka weelu.
Weelu versus
That's-
Lulu is the.
I gotta be honest, that's all I really want to do. There's like a list of like 30 here, and I do not.
I don't want to be on the spot for telling a Furby a joke. Like, I feel like a lot of my humor is like situational. I don't have material.
Yeah.
You know?
What is there, like, do they ever say anything racy, or is it all very
No,
passe?
but there's some like really disturbing. So there's one that's like really simple, but it's kind of disturbing in that it just goes you, which is why will you not play with me today?
No, thank
No.
you.
And in parentheses, it says, this usually means the Furby is upset. And I don't like that had to be
I
specified.
don't want an upset toy. You know?
Yeah.
Ever.
I don't want a toy guilt tripping me into playing with it. That's why if I don't play Animal Crossing for a while, I have to delete my save. Because I don't want to go back in and get guilt tripped by a sheep or whatever.
That's that's Furbies. I did it.
Furbies.
Okay.
So
There you go. Furbanese.
I hope you learned something, or at least got really scared.
We talk a Lulu.
I remember wanting a Furby when I was a kid. I'm glad I didn't get one.
I never.
That was the same year the N64 came out, so I was like 2 into Zelda at that point.
They made a Zelda Furby.
Can we cut the part where I said
Did
I
they
wanted a
really?
Furby?
No, for sure not.
Oh, man.
Absolutely not. All right, okay, just get us out of
All
here.
right,
I can't.
come on.
I'm sweating from that video
Come on.
still.
Come on, Jake. We talk a Lulu.
No, I'm not going to tell you a joke. So, thank you, everybody, for listening to us once again, episode 6. Please engage us on social media. Like us on Facebook.
Oh,
Follow
please.
and retweet us on Twitter at @WikiWikiWhat.
Please,
Twitter.
God,
Visit
engage us.
our website at wikiwikiwhatpodcast.com and send us feedback or suggestions at wikiwikiwhatpodcast@gmail.com.
Like, seriously, your support means a whole lot to us. We're just getting started, and we hope to bring you a lot of like really stupid knowledge that you didn't want to know, but is entertaining. We're hoping to do this every 2 weeks or so. So we'll see you in about 2 weeks, and we'll do topics on the letter G. That's please tell me that's
I'm
the
doing
next letter.
G Unit. Oh, you bastard! I was just gonna go G Unit. Thank you, everyone, once again. I wanna give you all like little snugs and kiss those big pink cheeks. And hey, it's 3 a.m. Stop reading Wikipedia and go to bed.
Oh, God.
Boom, boom,